Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 drama, and Red Bull's Helmut Marko is at it again, stating that his sources say that with James Vowles leaving Mercedes to join Williams as their new team principal, there is friction and tension brewing amid Mercedes, with apparently other key officials potentially leaving Mercedes as well to join along with James Vowles in what he believes could well give Red Bull an advantage this year. Mercedes though don't seem to agree with this assessment. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. Firstly, we finally have the date of the final car reveal, which actually will be the first of all of them. The 31st of January is when Haas, or MoneyGram, Haas as they now are going to reveal their 2023 livery. They've confirmed this, that it's going to be just the livery and not the actual car. It's, it only gets interesting to me when they actually start revealing the real cars. The liveries are somewhat interesting, but probably the teams that reveal over the first few days here from the 31st of January and over the week probably after that, they won't be showing the actual car. They're more than likely just showing what the livery looks like on the car on either last year's model or whatever they're going to do. Probably Red Bull will do the same thing. Haas even say it, right? See our livery for the first time, not necessarily see the actual VF23 as I guess they're calling it. And these are the full launch dates. A Haas on the 31st of January, that's rather soon. I think the livery might be a little bit different because they've got that new title sponsor now that actually will allow them to reach the budget cap, which is a thankful sign for Formula 1 fans hoping for more competition across the entirety of the grid. Red Bull are next, then Williams, then Alfa Romeo. We know that Aston Martin have said that they are actually going to show their real car, so that's when we kind of have some confirmation that that's when we're going to get an actual look at a car rather than for Haas and maybe for Red Bull. We'll see what their actual car looks like when we get to testing in Bahrain, not too long after Mercedes, Alpine, etc. also announced their car. So these are all the launch dates, and well, the first one is actually rather soon indeed. Also on the Red Bull discussion, there was this kind of crazy piece of news, especially after all the Le Mans virtual drama that Verstappen was involved in quite recently, that he's actually got installed a sim racing rig on his private jet. So this is kind of funny really, like he's cutting down on any potential wastage. We know that Verstappen loves a good sim race and all sorts of different motorsport, but also the drivers have to prepare in the sim for their races, and to be able to do that on the private jet while traveling between races is probably quite a good, well, it helps you to save time, I guess. It's kind of bad to think about, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. That's one piece of the puzzle. The other side of this sim racing talk over the last 24 hours or so has been this though, with Verstappen basically saying, I don't want Riccardo to do any of my stuff in the simulator. Now, Riccardo driving in the sim as their third reserve driver basically for Red Bull for the upcoming year will be helpful to Red Bull to get to understand the car a little bit better. But, as he goes on to say, I want to do it myself because everyone has their own driving style. He makes this statement not just about, Daniel Ricciardo, but about reserve drivers in general, stating that he'd much prefer to be in the simulator himself getting a feel for the car rather than have somebody else do it and give their thoughts on the setup because, Verstappen's obviously built different, but also all the drivers are a little bit built different to each other. This is the comments he makes verbatim. Our simulator is one of the best in the sport. The days are very long in the sim, but it's undoubtedly worth it. I don't want a test driver to take over the simulator sessions like other teams do. I want to do it myself because everyone has their own driving style. It helps me to maintain my focus. You can't do much else when you're at home, and I do enjoy sim racing. This is something that I think I saw from Anthony Davidson, who's does test driving stuff for Mercedes, is that during the Grand Prix weekends, they will do practice on a Friday, and then Anthony Davidson and the other simulator driver at Mercedes overnight back in the UK will run on that track with the setup that Mercedes used on track that day, and will then feed back their report overnight. So then for FP3, they can effectively try the setup that they kind of came up with in the simulator, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So that's the way that these simulators can give teams advantages, but it's not always possible for the main man himself to be in the simulator, but I guess when he can, he will be, and now he's got one in his private jet, so adding to the intention to do just that. Speaking of Daniel Ricciardo there, because if Max Verstappen doesn't really want him to do that much in the simulator, there has been some questions. Could Danny Ric return as Verstappen's partner in the future if Perez was to be ousted from the team? If maybe he would be, if he continues performing as he was at the end of last season, and also continues maybe clashing a bit with Max Verstappen as we saw in Brazil. But actually, Christian Horner says we certainly have no plans for Daniel other than in that third driver role to combine with the commercial activities. So making it quite clear that, denying any potential rumours that he might be replacing Perez. Of course, look, Horner's a master at all the politics here. He's not going to say something that might make Perez watch his back a bit more than he should do otherwise. But, it's not the first time that Red Bull have said something that turns out to go against their wisdom, as, Red Bull have said in the past, that, no intention to replace Gasly, and then, various changes have been made in the past few years. Not something I would entirely rule out, but nonetheless, nonetheless, Horner has denied that Riccardo is going to be replacing Perez in the future, but of course Perez has a contract for now, which well, we'll see how long that actually lasts. Let's talk about the Mercedes-Red Bull friction then. So they're revealing their car on the 15th of February. Thought it was interesting just the colour scheme used here. The Patronus green, bluey colour thing they've got going on. The other one is black here. Just, you know, people are wondering, is it going to be black again? Is it going to be silver? I guess we'll find out here in a few days' time. But Helmut Marko isn't waiting around to stir the pot a little bit further. He's the chief advisor really for Red Bull, been involved for many years with their program, saying there is tension in the Mercedes camp as James Vowles takes good technicians with him to Williams. Now, this is not something that's been made publicly known, but Helmut Marko has his sources, and he's gone to the media to reveal this to the public. This guy he's absolute killer at stirring the pot. You've got to give it to him, to be fair. So anyway, these are his relatively brief comments he makes on this, but he's giving his insight on the James Vowles exit. James Vowles, Valtteri it's James, former chief strategy guy over at Mercedes, left recently. He said himself that he only let Toto Wolff, I think, know in January, or right at the start of January, that was going to be happening, or maybe like late last year sometime. But clearly Mercedes have been preparing for this, because Vowles has not even been replaced right in that role. They were seemingly preparing for him to move on. But you know, clearly Helmut Marko and his sources apparently disagree with Mercedes' interpretation, saying that Vowles went to Williams of his own accord, and so it is said, is even taking good technicians with him. My sources tell me that's why the mood at Mercedes is tense, but I still believe Mercedes will be our biggest challenger when it comes to defending our title. That was the rumour well, not rumour, that's what he believes a few days ago, that Ferrari won't be able to challenge like Mercedes can because of Hamilton and other factors, why Mercedes have been so good for the last decade or so. But yeah, the first part of this is classic Marko in a way. Do you guys think he's just pulling this out of his rear end, or is there actually any validity in this analysis? Because yeah, his sources, whoever they might be, say that there's a tense mood at Mercedes with Vowles leaving. Now, this doesn't really seem to align with what we've heard. Now, look, obviously these teams are pretty good at PR in general. Okay, some teams may be better than others, but you know, Mercedes, when Vowles left, it does seem like they, of course, left on good terms there. And it wasn't too much over a week ago now where Vowles was confirmed to be leaving and joining as team principal, and there's been some discussions that actually this is a Mercedes master plan by letting Vowles go there, gain some experience in a TP role, then can replace Toto Wolff in the near future. And even, you know, that's kind of been confirmed by Toto Wolff himself, that he's never going to rule out the potential of James Vowles returning. Vowles himself has said, you know what, I'm not trying to make Williams the Mercedes B team, but, you know, it looks that way to some, and that's why they've denied the discussions. But, you know, even Toto Wolff gave the following comment on it, saying, there are many more pros in James leaving and becoming a team principal than the negatives from a personal side. Wolff wished him well, Hamilton wished him well, and it was also made clear by the organisation that there was not going to be a replacement going on here, right? They've intended over the last few years and have achieved this to put Vowles in such a position where, yes, technically he was leading the strategy team, and he's still there at Mercedes for now. I think he leaves in kind of the middle of February sometime to go to Williams. But it seems Mercedes had been preparing for this for quite some time, because Vowles, this wasn't seemingly a shock to them. They'd even moved him more to work back in the office a little bit more often, not going to so many of the races. They have a candidate now ready to step up into the role of the head of the strategy at races that Vowles used to do week in, week out, and even last season wasn't doing so much of. They put him more in kind of the driver programmatical side, developing younger drivers in those type of programs, and even doing some more commercial stuff, obviously skills that are congruent with being a team principal. So it seems to me that Mercedes kind of have planned this to a certain extent. But obviously Helmut Marko and Red Bull seemingly disagree, and he believes that Marko, that Vowles leaving is actually causing some tension in Mercedes, because maybe Vowles wants to bring a couple of his guys over with him to Williams. Now, that hasn't actually been made public, I believe, from either side, apart from this particular comment here from Marko. So maybe that's true. Maybe he's bringing a couple of his good technicians along with him. That would make sense, I guess. And maybe Mercedes would think, hang on a second here, this Vowles guy is leaving as he's taking some of our good guys. Like, yeah, that's going to hurt our team. Maybe so, but would Mercedes just allow that to happen? Maybe Marko thinks there's some tension there between Vowles wanting to take a couple of his guys and Toto Wolff wanting to retain them. I don't know. But yeah, it just seems one of these things where Helmut Marko says something, whether it's true or not, we don't really know. But, you know, there's certainly a conflict of the opinion here between the comments of Red Bull and Helmut Marko and what Mercedes have said over the last couple of weeks or so. Definitely tweet your thoughts in the comments below. Just a final thing to mention here before we close out the video. So Carlos Sainz and Ferrari, they're back on track, really actually getting some track time in with some older versions and some newer versions of the car. And Hamilton and Russell are back on track next week to do some testing and all that good stuff. And also, if you guys watch the Sky Sports broadcast, which you kind of can't really avoid it when watching Formula 1, there is apparently an update here with Johnny Herbert, who's this guy on the left-hand side. side, who I guess will be going down in a little bit of history. I thought he was actually very good at what he did at Sky Sports F1, all things considered. But I guess he'll go down as the guy that let Verstappen know first that he was a two-time world champion in a rather anticlimactic fashion there in Suzuka. But as he says, going to miss this team. So it seems like he's either moving on or will not be returning or whatever the case is. But yeah, one update on the broadcast side for next season. Speaking of Suzuka, a beautiful image of the track this morning with the heavy snow and the Ferris wheel that seems to be a mainstay at pretty much every single Formula 1 track nowadays. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.